And so association is huge. I think in our life, I think back to high school. Went to a school that a lot of my uncles went to, and it was a great tradition in our family. It was all boys, and it turned co-ed, and even my sister went there, and cousins. And it looking at the association of that, I was a small environment, and people spoke into you, and opportunities I did for leadership, and not just sports, and music, different things. And that, I could look at that, how much that groomed me for college. And in a sense, in college, I feel like I didn't need to really go for confidence and figure myself out, because I felt pretty figured out, because of the association I had in high school was so strong and intimate, and great leadership for character and different fundamentals of success and principles in life. And then I think about even like later in life, having to make choices based upon where certain people were going or habits they picked up. And because a lot of us as grown adults, you're told be careful who you hang around when you're younger. But as we become a grown adult, we're not careful who we hang around, because we love all our coworkers and friends, and we just allow any input to come in, opinion to come in, because it's a free, opinions available. But I think we need to really guard your association if you want to be successful and you have dreams and desires not to stay in the same lane. And it's not that you want to leave anyone behind. You want to bring people with you by your example. You need to find people that are doing things that, that you really respect, that they've overcame and they've went through, and you see the way they raise their kids, you see their marriage. Maybe you're single and you see some friend of yours who's getting married, and how they've changed being single to married. And so you want to look for the fruit on the tree of what you really want that relates to your values, and without hurting anyone's feelings. And I learned it. I'm so thankful that that's something that we've done, and I've done, and then I knew when meeting my wife before I met her that I needed to upgrade my association to make better decisions, to be attractive to the man I need to be, to meet someone that I wanted to marry, to build a strong family with. And then as we got married, get around and be an entrepreneur. It's like, man, who can I get around that can sharpen us, right? And that's what we saw in business, and we're fired up about being around people regularly that can sharpen us on a monthly, yearly basis. Because I know alone, it's just my head and our discussions, but with the right association, your ceiling becomes a basement and becomes another room that you can grow in.
Yeah, so good.
Thank you.
That is definitely one of our values, and something that we make sure of is that, we're always not just surrounded by amazing people, but those are the people that have the biggest voice, the loudest voice,
right,
in our life. And I heard this once that, you walk into a room, and depending on what, you're taking advice in, if I'm in a room with someone who is not, doesn't have an aptitude in that area, I'm still listening, but their volume gets turned down. And then if I'm in a room with someone who has an aptitude in that area, they can help me, they can elevate me, they can expose the gap in me, then their volume goes way up. And they have more of a higher percentage place in my brain. They have more space in my, speaking into our brains and our hearts, because that's what something every parent talks about, right? Which is like, don't you play with Johnny. Johnny comes from a bad place. And then, when you're an adult, you're like, I want to hang out with Johnny, make me feel good about myself. Fired up to hang around Johnny. But you realize that is our association. I heard this, it said, you take an open mind is like, we value indecision. We value, not being committed. And when you're not committed, the problem is we have an open mind. And the problem with an open mind is that we allow anything in and anything out. And when we have so many people speaking into us, our mind the goal is not to have an open mind. The goal is to have an open mind to find something solid to close it in on. And that commitment is where, we found and we find and we seek out, we've always sought out people who will, we look to see who has fruit in their lives, who has that solid foundation of faith, of marriage, of fruit in their life with their kids, in business, in their mindset, they're growing. Like, those are the people that we want to be around, because that's the fruit we want to emulate in our lives.
100%.
And then even more important, we're teaching our kids how to do the same thing. Then you teach them the steps of how to find people that I love, that we had them in schools where they are around kids and that didn't make the greatest decisions, and then they're still around, their kids are kids everywhere. And, sometimes parents put kids in school so the school can raise them. And You get to see that in our kids where they're taking things away, going, oh yeah, that's so-and-so, and he makes these kind of choices. And it's like, you get to see their little brains do the discerning for themselves instead of like, do not hang around him. And then they feel like you're taking something away from them where, when you can say like, oh, limit your association, you feel like a little rebel. And it's like, but I want to hang out with them. And then you realize like, but all of my dreams are the health of our life, the sanity of our marriage, all of that is at the helm of the people that are speaking into our life, that are speaking into our hearts, that are speaking into our kids. So
It's good.